Yeah, I'm getting them out now.
What year is it?
You think about 30 times.
All right. Well, thanks for cussing right as we go live there, Austin. I appreciate
Like,
that'll help the algorithm out there. Hello and welcome and hello. Coming back at you. It's been a few weeks, guys. We're trying to get our steam back. No, this is the glorious return. Toptal Spotfest, first show of 2025. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. Jamie's dead already. We're 5 minutes in.
The best ever opening
What a way to start the year.
See, I told you this new opening is making it work. I am JJ. That is Jamie. That is Austin. We are all back. We got a lot of catching up to do. Hope everybody out there had a very wonderful holiday season. Very safe New Year's, and we're rolling in 2025. Jamie, Austin, how have you boys been it's been since before Christmas that we have last been together. How you boys been? How was your Christmas?
All right. It's been a busy. I don't even remember the last time I was on the show. I missed one. We did have to put our beloved wiener dog Badger down in mid-December, which was sad. But because we move on and we go forward later this month, we will be picking up a new little wiener dog from a breeder in Missouri. So we will have a nice little sausage king running around the house before too long. But
there you go.
The holidays were good. The 3/4 of an inch of ice covering everything outside over the last 2 days has not been as fun, but it ain't Toptal Spotfest if we don't talk about the weather a little bit.
I know. So you got a bunch of ice down there. Jamie, what about you?
Well, since last we've met, I've like won things. I have also got COVID on Christmas. That was like the best gift ever.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that was great, guys. But other than that, watched lots of good wrestling. Luckily, Megan and her boyfriend were like here, since like the 3rd or whatever, and we were moving him back in on Saturdays when we were supposed to, and all the shit came down. It's like, no, stay at our place because you're probably gonna get locked in there. So Megan and him shoveled all my shit for me, so I didn't have to do any of it.
Oh.
Dude, it was amazing. So totally worth it.
Did you get a good amount of snow, or did you get mixed? What did you get?
Oh, I got, what is it, like 3/4, not 3/4, like 3/8, like almost a full 1/4 of an inch of ice. Like it was a lot. And then we got like 6 inches, 7 inches, something like that.
So you can tell where we live based on if you follow the Weather Channel, and we're going along here. So Christmas was good. I went stayed at the Prairie Band Hotel because it's like 10 minutes from my dad's house, right? So it's north of Topeka, right? It's on the Native American reservation there. Very nice hotel. People were super cool. So for a place that advertises the living piss out of free breakfast, free continental breakfast, everyone talks about how great this breakfast is, this big buffet, right? This breakfast, right? I go down at 9:05 in the morning on Christmas Day, right? Which Jamie's already amazed that I was up at 9 o'clock on a day that I didn't have to work. But that's accurate. But I woke up, came down 9 o'clock. Cool, breakfast time, right? Oh, the buffet's open 7 to 9 on Christmas. We're getting ready for the dinner buffet. I go, it's literally 5. It's 9:05 on a holiday. Where's my breakfast at?
Missed it.
Oh, I was mad. I got a voucher for like the restaurant though, because I'm like, this is some bullshit. It's like breakfast stops at 9 o'clock. Really, buffet's on for 2. Like, here's a voucher.
I mean, most of them do in hotels.
Well, they usually go to like 10.
On the weekends it's usually a little bit later.
Well, it's a holiday.
Well, I guess it wasn't a weekend, but it was a holiday. That's basically
it's a holiday. Whatever. They gave me a voucher. I go down.
I'm not allowing your bitching because it's normal hotel protocol.
I'm bitching. What's up, Big Rob? So anyway, give me a voucher. I go get breakfast, go up to my room, realize how fucked up my breakfast is, go back, have them remake it, come back up, whatever. But other than that, Christmas was super chill. It was super nice. New Year's was super chill. Went to my best friends as always. We did the "Can You Believe We're Another Year Older" bit, So I got just a little bit of ice, right? Maybe a little over 1/10 of an inch. But then I got close to a foot of snow on top of that. Now, dealership was actually closed on Monday, which is fantastic, right? Because I was like, I have no idea when I'm going to shovel this. I'm going to be late as hell for work. But thankfully, up here in the Northland, everything was just covered in snow. So I'm getting ready to go out there, and I see my neighbors are out starting to shoveling. My neighbor directly across from me pulls out his Kawasaki 4x4 with the snow blade on the front. And I just goes, that's a smarter man than I. So he hooked a brother up. I gave him a few beers, and I only plowed about a third of my drive, and he the rest of it. So
nice.
Hell yeah.
Pays to know.
Nice.
Well, we hope wherever you are, if you've gotten snow or you're getting snow, apparently it's supposed to get like 10 inches down in Dallas tonight, this weekend.
She said.
Oh,
Heyo.
I hope
First
you guys,
one here, guys. First one here.
Hope you're being safe. Our thoughts go out to anybody that's out in LA for sure. It's just 2025 is coming in with a bang. We got snow and ice and fires galore, but we got some wrestling to get to because, boys, it has been a few weeks.
There's been a lot of wrestling that's happened while we've been gone, guys.
A lot.
And a lot to talk about with it.
There's a lot of wrestling coming up here, too. So before we get into that, there is something going on this Friday that, unfortunately, we can't tell you to go get tickets for, Austin, because Triple L sold out.
It did, as it tends to do, usually a couple days before the show. It officially sold out yesterday. So if you were planning on going, you got to wait until March and move faster next time. But it will be a fantastic show. Going back to the weather for a second, looking at the forecast, this looks like the first January Triple L show in years where we will not be driving through a blizzard. Because without fail, for the last 3 years, it's always been a blizzard across I-70 the whole way. I think we'll be good this time. Knock on wood.
You're just leaving the ice, the frozen palace of Wichita, Kansas, to go.
We are. We're getting, I think, another like 3 to 4 inches of snow here in Wichita tomorrow, but Friday does not look like any snow in Wichita or Denver, and I'm hoping nowhere along the way.
It's
a nice smooth shot down 70. But yeah, it's going to be a great show. Couple matches advertised, but one I'm really looking forward to, Royce Isaacs versus Fuego del Sol, in what should be a phenomenal match. Yeah.
Yes, the tornado DDT versus just the mountain of muscle. Like, honestly,
Royce is a beefcake. Like if you had to like pick a dude to call a beefcake, Royce Isaacs is not a bad way to go. That is just one just jacked man.
I mean, him and Dak. I would consider Dak a beefcake too.
I feel like Dak's almost a little too like long and lean and handsome to be a true beefcake.
Too tall,
he's kind of
right?
pretty boy too.
He's kind of got that. Now, this isn't the fawn over Dak, Draper hour, but being so tall, he's got that kind of Greek statuesque sort of thing going on, right? Whereas Royce is just meat.
I still can't believe that no major company knows what to do with Dak Draper.
Right?
Like, he is a tall, athletic, charismatic, handsome ass dude. He was great in Ring of Honor, and the fact that nowhere else is like, yeah, we don't need that guy.
I mean, he did decent in NWA, before they had their whatever, right? Before
cocaine issue,
pre-Billy Corgan, let's put it that way. Okay,
they're gonna TV deal. Let's have a table with hookers. Hookers are below, guys. It's a great TV. Magically, they don't have a TV deal now.
And James Mitchell just like, oopsie.
I'm not saying I'm not a fan of hookers and blow. I'm just saying on TV it might not be a good thing.
So other matches have been announced for. Jamie's coming in hot this year. Jesus Christ. So you said there was another match announced.
So we got Royce Isaacs versus Fuego del Sol. The main event is reigning Triple L champion, the Enforcer Marlon Bishop, which, if you're not familiar, Marlon Bishop is a 6'3", 275, just dieseled up former NFL running back. One of the most charismatic guys you'll ever meet. He is taking on the artist formerly known as Warhorse.
Oh, the Commissar.
Yeah.
Commissar.
We got my man 10 out of 10 Logan Austin taking on Dulce Tormenta, which I don't think it hit YouTube yet, but I wrestled Dulce Tormenta in November, and I'll get that shared once it hits the internet because that was a very fun match that I think y'all and everyone listening would thoroughly enjoy. Dulce Tormenta is great.
She is. Wasn't she in CMLL, or didn't she do something in CMLL for a minute?
I think so. I think she's done stuff with The Crash as well, if I'm not mistaken.
That makes sense.
She's done some bigger lucha stuff for sure.
Okay, right. Yeah, because she's a stud.
Yeah, she is solid. And then we also have Dangerously Handsome, the team of Dak Draper we were just talking about, and Danger Dean taking on the Howlets.
Howlets final tag team match. Hoodie is
what I understand, yeah.
I'm going to throw up the air quotes because we've seen this before at Journey Pro.
Right. I mean, that was one of our seminal moments of the Kansas Hall days of Journey Pro. Hoodie, who noticeably screwed up his leg hardcore, right? You know, calling for that one final match, right? He had the whole thing. He had the strange music and live entrance into the ring, the whole thing, and then the fantastic match, and then the swerve of F you, I'm not retiring. Oh my God. Got us all. Of course, and then they followed it up with the 60-minute main event, which was, Walter agrees with us on that. That was a booking mistake. But hey.
Just real quick, speaking of 60-minute matches and booking mistakes, I worked a show out in Utah for Manny Lemons once, where him and Sam Adonis had a 60-minute match as the pre-intermission match.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What?
The wow.
Yeah, that there was still another half of the show after that, and It was one of the worst booking ideas I have ever seen in my life. And the match, like no one cared about it anyway. Like it was fine. I like Sam Adonis; he's good. I don't care for Manny Lemons, but that's a whole nother thing. But
so this match that I'm referring to, it was actually it was a hyped up show. I think it was the show that was like we used it as my de facto birthday, wasn't it? Because that was a show.
Yeah, that was the one went to your birthday, and then that was him against Gary J.
Right? No. We're talking about the match afterwards, though.
Oh, you mean Jake something and
the reason the Jake something chant drives Jamie crazy is because after we saw the Gary J, Hoodie Howlett masterpiece, the big swerve, the definite this is the end of your show thing, here comes Rainbow in the Dark, here comes here comes Jeremy Wyatt versus Jake something, the main event, which was a 60-minute match after the crowd was just going on this emotional roller coaster. Everybody was into it. It was a packed house. And then I'm just like, so everybody's basically standing there, and Jay keeps trying to get the crowd going with his "What's my name" thing, and Jamie, after the seventh or eighth one, really didn't want to hear it anymore.
I'm like, no one cares.
He was going nothing, anything, he was doing like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I was over it at that point. It is a great technical match. Don't get me wrong. It's just.
It would have been a fantastic match to do before Gary J. That's what. What's that? Anyway,
I was gonna say the Manny Lemon Sam Adonis hour-long pre-intermission match was the worst booking order mistake I've ever seen, but it's not, because I was at WrestleMania 25 where we watched Shawn Michaels and Undertaker have the greatest pro wrestling match of all time, And then they sent Triple H and Randy Orton out there to no reaction.
Nothing.
Zero.
I was
It
there,
was
man.
Crickets.
I mean, excellent point there, sir.
Well,
But you know what didn't have any bad matches or booking mistakes, in my opinion?
what would
World's
that
End.
be, Jimmy? World's End.
World's End. It was a hell of a show.
World's End, second year now for World's End, and I mean, this is a company that doesn't do bad pay-per-views, saying it's another banger pay-per-view, but hey, I have no real complaints about this pay-per-view at all. Austin?
I'm with you on the no bad matches. Hard disagree on the no booking mistakes.
Okay, well, okay.
Yes.
Fair.
I agree with that.
Okay, that's fair. But because of that booking mistake, Jamie was right. And for the record, ladies and gentlemen, we're just gonna get this out of the way now.
Let's just get to it.
New year, same me. Okay, so this is how this is going. If it wasn't for the pre-show, Jamie would have had a perfect card. Perfect card. If it wasn't for the pre-show. But the main show, your man was perfect. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is correct. Once again, your champion of pay-per-views, Mr. Jamie Faulkner. That's right. Me.
We gotta do something. New Year's resolution, Austin. We gotta do something to take that belt out of his hands for good. Seriously, dude.
It's gonna happen. Revolution. I'm calling my shot.
Calling your shot, Revolution.
No, we have the Australia show.
Oh yeah.
Are we gonna do the picks for the Grand Slam? Isn't that like a Dynamite Grand Slam?
No, it's a pay-per-view. It's a pay-per-view
I
show.
think it is an actual pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I thought that was like just like a Wednesday night. Here's a special show in Australia, but even better. But even then, I'm gonna stick to my prediction. Revolution is when I'm taking that time. I'm calling my shot, just like my man, my personal favorite wrestler of all time, non-Terry Funk division, Double J, 2025. I'm winning that title.
Well, Double J got us all a win, got a point on the pre-show. Tony Storm got us a point on the pre-show. Both myself and Jamie were oogled by the possibility of the Outlanders, and that's why Jamie didn't have a complete perfect card there. But yeah, I mean, okay, so you had Adam Cole, MJF finally finishing their story, right? Which it was fine. Let's be honest. I think of all the things on the main card, it wasn't a bad match by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm just glad it's over.
I had completely forgot till you even mentioned that was a World's End, and now I got to take back my stance. I did say there wasn't a bad match. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say it wasn't a bad match, but it certainly wasn't a good match.
I don't think it was a bad match. I think it was just it was whatever, But the star of the show, I think, was definitely the old school tournament semifinals and finals on the same night. And boy, Jamie, opening, I think you said in our group chat, going hard with opening Fletcher and Ospreay. Let's go.
Yeah, that was an opener.
Considering he started bleeding like a stuck pig 3 minutes in.
That was just pro wrestling excellence.
Oh. I could watch these two. I say it a lot, but I could watch these two every night of the week and never get sore of it.
Yeah, I'm looking up stuff here. Yeah, I'm just looking at all our stuff.
Yep.
We are hilarious to each other, by the way, guys. Just read some of this shit.
Through the text chain during the pay-per-view.
I'm trying to find our stuff.
Text chain during pay-per-views is actually really good between the three of us. And then, of course, and for some reason, Austin, you picked why'd you pick Ricochet? Because you're the only one that picked Ricochet to beat Okada. I thought that was the most blatantly obvious thing. Okada Ospreay to me was so obvious. I couldn't believe when you put Ricochet down.
So here's the thing, and here's the reason why I have not held that belt many times. I like to throw some hot takes in there.
Okay.
I like to hope for something to get shaken up every once in a while. Now, what we got was better. Ospreay and Okada in the finals was phenomenal. But the way they've been pushing Ricochet lately and the way they really haven't done much with Okada lately, I thought there was a chance that we were going to get Ospreay Ricochet 3 in the finals of the tournament.
Right. Which in turn, you got the kind of the really, I would take this, Jamie, this moment, and then the subsequent mocking afterwards by Swerve as the full heel turn moment for Ricochet. Now, he cashed that in a Fight for the Fallen in glorious fashion. And that's, I don't care if you guys disagree with me. I'm using that word. I think what he did to Swerve at Fight for the Fallen was great.
It's what he needed. Like, that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
It's what he needs. Because he is, like, let's face it, just like Adam Cole, he's boring. He just is.
Outside of wrestling, yes.
Yeah, in the ring, they're absolutely they're Lance Storm, man. They are just these Lance Storm copies that are phenomenal, do amazing things in the ring. But man, you get in front of a mic like, I'm gonna try, guys. I'm gonna do the best. I just need you behind me. Yeah.
Just a really quick aside, since you mentioned Lance Storm, the wife and I spent New Year's Eve watching Guilty as Charged 99. And if you haven't seen that one in a long time, Lance Storm and Jerry Lynn have an absolutely phenomenal match on that show.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised that they had a phenomenal match.
Shocker, right?
I think Jerry Lynn's in that same category. I mean, he's bland, but boy can wrestle.
I think Jerry Lynn was just kind of at the wrong time. I think Jerry Lynn a few years later, hitting his prime, would have been better, but I don't think the wrestling world was quite ready for Jerry Lynn when he was really at his peak in the late 90s.
And then I think, the sad, I don't even call it sad part, but then like early days TNA, I think, because Jeff Jarrett realized what Jerry Lynn had, he tried to make Jerry Lynn an integral part of the original X Division, right? And it's kind of one of those, this would have been nice 10 years ago sort of things, right? It's like, you could tell, it's like, yeah, but he's not the same guy as what he should be, Him, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, not quite the same.
Yeah, and by the time you got AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels like really kicking in full gear, Jerry Lynn was kind of getting towards the back end. He'd already been around for a while. And
exactly.
Sometimes it's timing, man.
Yeah, timing. Speaking of timing, so Jamie's the only one who got Mercedes Moné retaining her championship. And Austin, I think you said it best. Because speaking of timing, what was the word you used? Like, we keep going with what Tony Khan should be doing.
Well, gentlemen, I would like to put a pin in that conversation.
We need to, yes. The main event, honestly, I felt like the main event, though, was a little bit lacking.
That was good.
Yes.
It was good, though.
I think we might need to put a pin in that until we get to Dynamite as well.
Okay.
Because I think we need a little bit longer discussion about the Death Riders in general.
Okay. So
maybe take a heat check on the Death Riders angle.
All right, we'll put some pins and some stuff here. We'll come back to it. Congratulations, Jamie, on getting the belt back. Whatever.
I went for my daughter.
Yeah. Yes.
So
we did
still in the house of the FWO.
We did skip over Takeshita and Hobbs.
Oh, yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed.
Do you think it's?
I mean, you had that. You had Cope coming back too. Like this had a lot of good. Like, I know we always kind of hone in on the mid or the bad, but dude, like Okada Ospreay was absolutely phenomenal. That should have ended the show, in my opinion, especially because of the Omega thing. And then you follow that up with Takeshita and Hobbs literally tearing the house down. Like, I don't care. That match, if it wasn't for that opener, was best of the night.
I mean, I think that, and a lot of that was to build up on Hobbs too, right? But I think that 2025 to me is the year that Takeshita just goes into, the absolute stratosphere, right? Not just here in America too, right? And we're going to talk about Wrestle Dynasty here in just a moment, spoiler, right?
Future IWGP heavyweight champion.
Yes.
Calling it now.
Yes.
2025 happening.
I mean, and we've all sung the praises to Takeshita for a while now, right? But I think even with everything they're doing, and the point of it definitely was to put Hobbs over for sure, which we'll get more into when we talk about Dynamite. But my God, every time I see Takeshita, just more and more, I was like, I can't be more of a believer, but somehow I am.
Okay. Hold. Damien here says that he has not seen a storyline in AEW that is ever interesting other than Cody versus Jericho.
Cody versus Jericho.
So clearly he didn't like the Hanger Omega stuff. Like, that was arguably one of their best storylines that they've ever done.
Right.
Hanger Strickland, that storyline was one of the best they've ever done. I mean, they've had multiple great storylines. Timeless Tony Storm is a storyline in herself.
Yeah, Bryan Danielson last run, being wiped out by his former, teammates and John Moxley and all that.
I mean,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I would be interested to see, like, and you're entitled to your opinion, man. Like, if AEW isn't interested in you, like, it's just not for you, and that's cool. But I would be interested to know, do you watch weekly? Do you follow the stories?
Yeah.
Because they've had some phenomenal ones.
They have.
And they've certainly had ones that worked. Now, you got the MJF Adam Cole that they just wrapped up, but the original story that started great, and then injuries derailed and all that, and that really fell flat. You've had some stuff that didn't really work, and that's no problem admitting that. But I would be like, do you watch every week? Do you keep up with the stories? And if so, and you haven't found any of that interesting, why do you keep watching? And I ain't calling you out or judging you, man. I'm just interested. Like,
yeah.
Do you keep watching something you don't enjoy, or do you only catch clips on the internet and you just haven't found something to pull you in yet?
Yeah. We know, Clint. We know you don't, Clint. It's okay.
and Damien, like, we are not tribalist. I know a lot of these shows are very tribalist, as in they're all only AEW or only WWE. Like, they don't believe in just being a fan of professional wrestling. Well, that is not here, gentlemen. As we know, we love all sorts of professional wrestling. We have a professional wrestler that actually is right here, right in front of you, right now. So
in-ring correspondent.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I appreciate that. That's your opinion.
Very own Tracy Wolfson over there.
No judgment, just curious.
Yeah. But I thank you for joining in. We do appreciate you joining in the chat for sure.
Like,
subscribe, bro.
I don't care. I like hot takes, man. Take some hot takes.
I do too.
Speaking of hot takes, we had a lot of hot takes going into this year's fantasy football season. And let's get that over with, because it's been a few weeks. Rob, I'm glad you're here, because my God, did some crow was had a few weeks ago. I'm just going to switch over to it, because the season hath completed. Now, if you're going to go back to the quarterfinals, you're going to find that the two biggest shit talkers, who may or may not be featured on the screen in the second and third position, if you're looking on the left-hand side of your screen at this time here, they're the ones who aren't speaking presently. Both got railed pretty good by Big Rob and by one Miss Heidi Howitzer. I mean, Heidi just put a number on you, Jamie.
She did, and I'm man enough to admit defeat, but I wanted that rematch, and I said it very vocally against Austin, and I got it, and I lost that one too.
Side note,
So,
Yes.
well, shit. But I will say this: big props to Big Rob. Huge run,
Look at that.
complete underdog.
Look at that. He goes from
Captain second place, bro.
0.2 in the first round in the the bye week round, right? A 0.2 victory, and then he just goes on a heater, right? Steamrolls over Austin, just demolishes Heidi, and comes up. Look at that. Look at that final score there between Carlos and Rob. God, you were right. It was so close. It was compelling, man. So, but with that being,
I gotta give Big Rob his props for knocking me out in the semis. He won. You win. A win is a win, no matter what.
Exactly.
But that was the perfect storm of just random football gods bullshit.
so,
Salty.
Green Bay's defense
hashtag
scored
not
like
bitter.
30 points for him that week when they shut out the Saints.
yeah,
But that's why you play games in the playoffs,
that's
man.
why you play the games. So congratulations to our champion, Carlos Fernandez, who was our last entrant into the league. So, like I said, it doesn't matter when you come in. And yes, Jamie already took credit for that because Carlos works with Jamie, former coworker of mine. Literally stole his team from another league, 100%. But it is Carlos's team, not yours, Jamie.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Big Rob, big second place. GG, see you, Big Rob. And Megan got third.
And Megan got third. Megan finished better than all of us, and it's her first year.
Yeah. The final standings will go to just for good measure. And Jay didn't realize I totally escaped on like the second, after I got eliminated, right? Like, oh crap, this elimination ladder, this consolation ladder determines placement, and I don't want to finish last, so I had to pull some stuff out. But yeah, Megan finished third, Heidi finished fourth. Then we have Austin Reddick, followed by Tommy Too Good, Jamie, Curtis, myself, and our bottom dweller for 2024. Sorry, Chase. Chase Riley, owner of Fountain City Pro.
Zone.
Yes. So that was fantasy football. So we promised it. It's out there. If Carlos wants to partake in the next Picks Champion, Jamie, let him know he's more than welcome to come on in.
Yes, I will. But let's get back to wrestling, gentlemen. Can we talk a little?
Really quick before we get back to wrestling? I just want to make sure it's stated on the show and just clear for everyone to understand that I beat Jamie not once, not twice, but thrice this season. Ran the board against him. So you may hold the Pick'em championship more often than not.
I do.
But when it comes to the fantasy football, you are not on the level of the devil.
Hey, I won one of my leagues. I lost two others really bad, but I won one.
Did you win? It wasn't the Big Money League, was it?
It was the Big Money League.
Oh, look at you. There you go.
Came out of nowhere, baby.
Hell yeah.
And I just went on this miracle run. Kind of like
Big Rob.
Big Rob. Yeah, Jameer Gibbs.
Oh,
Jameer Gibbs.
As soon as Montgomery went down, anybody that had Jameer Gibbs was a happy camper.
I had Jameer Gibbs and Bucky Irving. I picked up Bucky in the 13th round, hella late. And that dude just went nuts. I rode those two guys, and I had Justin Herbert as my quarterback, and Justin started feeling it.
I had what's his face guy with all the dreadlocks from the Chargers. He was my saving grace at the end of the season.
Oh, Dobbins?
He did, yeah.
Quentin Johnson
is healthy, but I love it.
Yep. All right, back to wrestling. So
back to wrestling.
So let's talk a little Wrestle Dynasty the night after Wrestle Kingdom, because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we could talk all we want about the entire show, but there's really only one match Jamie wants to talk about. That's Kenny Omega's return against Gabe Kidd. And can I just say, sometimes, and also I know you're gonna say something to this. it is almost better to lose than actually win because a bona fide star was made that night by Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd.
Absolutely. Losing to Bret Hart twice made Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
I mean, the character stuff was going to get over no matter what. But Survivor Series 96 and WrestleMania 13, that's how you get over by losing.
Yep. And Gabe is an interesting one. I mean, their whole group is kind of like this like rough shot of young California boys but he comes out and takes his pants off with it, adorned with the New Japan Pro Wrestling, right? This is my home team. This is where I belong. I'm getting all these Japanese tattoos, you know? So it felt like a moment for Gabe Kidd, win or lose, 100%. You know, it felt like, yeah, this guy was a good guy. He's a good young kid, right? You know, is he a top guy? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, top guy.
And can we just talk about how it looks like Kenny Omega has not missed any fucking time?
Oh.
Not rusty at all.
Dude, what is this guy? He is the god of wrestling.
I mean, and the sell he's doing on his, you know, because Kenny Omega's so good that obviously he's cleared, he's fine, right? But the sell he did on his guts at the beginning of it, you know, it's like, oh my God, is he really not gonna? I've seen Kenny Omega do this for years, right? I know how good he is, but oh my God, and amazing, Kenny Omega getting booed in the Tokyo Dome.
That was interesting,
and he just gobbled it up, ate it, and just.
Did you see the press conference afterwards where he called them out about it?
11 minutes and 34 seconds of gloriousness. He called out them, the Elite, AEW. I mean, he put on a master class in that press conference. Bro. While caked in blood.
I understand I am in the strong minority with this opinion.
Okay.
Here we go.
This is going to be a scorching hot take for a lot of
let's do it.
People that watch it and genuinely enjoy New Japan and AEW and all that.
Yeah, you do, Rob.
That was the second best match of the night.
Okay. I know what you're gonna go, but go with the
what
first
was
best.
your best match of the night?
You know where I'm going with this? Takeshita versus Ishii was absolute flames.
The best Ishii match I've seen in years. Okay, in years.
That was not Big Tom from the conglomeration. That was Ishii, and they were beating the piss out of each other. That reminded me of that like early '90s All Japan, just hard hitting.
Yeah. Oh,
with old Kenta, like not the new Kenta, but yeah, Kenta Oregano, whatever, dude. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, you know. And you talked about IWGP champion, right? You know, I think it's the thing because here's a guy and billed as an AEW character, right? His promo video had, you know, AEW logos and DDT logos, which I thought was fantastic, right? You know, because there's no way New Japan was showing a DDT logo for shit, you know, even 5 years ago, right? But in this new world, I thought that was fantastic and great for him to get that type of match, that type of reaction, and the type of exposure in Tokyo.
Hell, even the Bucks won the IWGP tag team.
The Bucks were
not
great.
The juniors, but like it's their second time ever winning it, and they didn't. And like they had a nice little interview about it too. Like it was very heartfelt, where they're like, "We kind of left on bad terms because our contract was expiring. And they didn't want to renew us." And it's like, well, fine.
Yeah,
we're gonna start our own thing.
That was good. The Ricochet match was good too. Okay,
there were no misses. Even that Lucha Libre one,
the Lucha Scramble was phenomenal.
I loved the Lucha Scramble.
Like if you're into pro wrestling for the sake of pro wrestling, which I understand some people like they want more story and all that, and I enjoy good story in pro wrestling. But if you tell me it's just a Lucha Scramble and we're throwing 5 luchas and 5 Japanese guys into a big just mess of a match, I'm gonna check that out, and I was not
Fuck yeah.
disappointed in the slightest.
Yeah, CMLL held their own. You know, they didn't have as much exposure, more on the pre-show and stuff, and then the Lucha Scramble naturally, right? But they held their own in the Tokyo Dome. We did get a Thekla sighting, which we're going to, is a Stardom. But I found it funny what you had said, Austin, about your watching mate who had please enlighten the crowd. We're talking about the women's 4-way match. It was the four company match, right? Ended up being won by Stardom, but please enlighten us.
Yeah. Athena eats a pin for the first time in 2 years after Thekla brains her with a baseball bat.
Athena looked wonderful too. Fantastic.
That 4-way was phenomenal. That was a great 4-way. Thekla bashes Athena in the head with the baseball bat. My wife turns to me and is like, maybe that means we'll get Thekla in AEW. And I turn back to her and go, JJ has been begging for that for so long.
Yes. I don't want to do it yet.
You've been wanting that for so long.
I know, but I have some thoughts I'll get to later on. But I definitely want to see, because I want to see Thekla versus Mariah May, Thekla versus Toni Storm, Thekla versus Athena, right?
So gentlemen, now that we've gone through Wrestle Dynasty, which was by far a phenomenal just treat.
Yep.
And I told my wife that it is on my bucket list to watch wrestling in the Tokyo Dome before I die. And it will happen. But we are now officially in a new era of wrestling.
The streaming era? Can you say that?
The streaming era is upon us.
Yeah.
WWE premiered on Netflix. And gentlemen, before I get into one, did you watch it? 2, what were your thoughts?
Not live because my login is all screwed up. Okay, long story. Yep. Whatever. So I didn't watch it live. Followed along though with a lot of it. Watched parts of it afterwards. I'm overall impressed with the production and what they put out there. I don't think it was a terrible big divergence. I think though the presentation, the way they did it, it almost felt like a pay-per-view, and that was not to be expected every week sort of thing. Let's say, hey, this was the premiere. Let's, take it with a grain of salt, a little bit of that. But I think they did a fantastic job with what they did for the first act, to be honest. With one big exception, and I'll get to that in a minute. Austin?
I was 50-50 throughout the day on Monday, whether I was going to watch it live or maybe just catch it on Netflix sometime throughout the week. But I was like, you know what? They're calling it a new era. I'm going to tune in. I'm going to give them a chance to draw me in. Because I catch the pay-per-views. Haven't really watched Raw regularly in a while because it's kind of the same episode week after week after week. I was like, you know what? I'm going to give them an honest shot. I'm sticking around for all 3-ish hours or however long this runs. Let's see what you got. And it was just Charlie Brown kicking the football to me. Like,
okay.
It was the same shit, just on a different station, man. Like 4 matches in 3 hours, which I'm not saying you got to have a million matches, but could we not? They had said they were doing New Day against Ray and a mystery partner, which they've been teasing Penta. Like that's part of what got me to decide to tune in. Like, hey, we get Penta showing up. That sounds cool. I'm here for that. Nope. Pull the rug out from under us on that.
There was a promo. There was a video thing for Penta. So there
was. And Penta versus Chad Gable next week will probably be absolutely phenomenal.
Fuck yeah.
But man, like the tribal combat match.
Yeah.
It was just kind of some slow brawling until a bunch of people ran in, which I'm not trying to just be a hater. I'm not a hater of WWE. I watch more classic WWE than literally anything else. Like everything up to about the year 2000, I've seen a million times. I love it. So I will say Roman Reigns is one of the coolest people that has ever stepped into a wrestling. Like, he's just got that aura about him. Roman Reigns got a huge pop. He looks like a huge star. The match was kind of boring to me. You got everyone running. It seemed like the Walmart version of the WrestleMania main event. Get a bunch of run-ins, get to your finish and all that. I felt like the other matches never really hit that next gear. Like they were fine, but that's my thing with WWE, man. It's just like the wrestling is just an afterthought in that company. And I'm not saying it has to be what we get in AEW, because I know that's a style of wrestling not everyone loves. But after watching that for 3 hours of Monday night, there was just absolutely nothing that made me think like, oh, this is definitely different and this is better going forward.
Well, I never thought they were going to be different. I thought it was going to have some changes naturally, you know. Dane puts it out there, a good question, you know, about the picture-in-picture. Honestly, I don't know, because I think they're trying to still, both them and Max, both, with Max doing the AEW, is literally the exact same thing you see on TV, and with, you know, the way Netflix is doing this here, it's, yeah, we all thought it'd be, hey, wrestling with no commercials, right? You know, because it's streaming.
You gotta get their money, bro.
Still gotta make their money, so I don't know.
Well, the problem with that too is that these are worldwide companies, and you got a deal for one channel or streaming service to show your show in one place, but there's other places that it's on a whole different service or a whole different channel. And I don't think we're ever going to get TV wrestling just completely commercial free. I do enjoy that AEW does picture-in-picture during commercials. For Raw, we didn't have actual commercial breaks because they would show like some promo packages and stuff. But there were times during the matches where you would just have a little flash on the screen, and they would just go quiet, and then they'd start talking. So like the break was in there for the commercial, even though you're not getting it. That was a little awkward. But I mean, I don't know what you can really do about that.
All right, Jamie, answer your own question. What about you?
Okay. Well, gentlemen, first off, I'd like to thank you for leaving some meat on this bone, because I was wondering if you guys were going to pick it clean for me. But you did leave me a little bit, and I appreciate that. It is a good thing for professional wrestling.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
It is. And before I get into my thoughts, I wanted to get into why it's good for professional wrestling. Netflix is worldwide, baby. Like, you don't have to be on Sky. You have to have like 18 different things that you're on in different places. Netflix is Netflix everywhere, right? Now, Netflix does show different things in different countries, but the thing is WWE is going to be on Netflix for everybody. So this is going to open up potentially to more markets, and people are going to get interested in wrestling. This is going to be good for local wrestling. This is going to be good for a lot of things, because it is tapping into a resource nowadays, because a lot of people have cut the cord and they just stream only, like me. Now, the show itself. 4 matches in 3 hours. If this is what they are doing moving forward, it's not for me. Because I'm going to use an alcohol reference, okay? I consider what they gave us, Cosmopolitan, Mai Tai, the fruity type drink that's really delicious, still really good, but it just doesn't quite have the punch that I like. Like, I would consider AEW, New Japan, and some of these other ones like bourbon, you know, vodka, you know, something a little bit harder, you know, something that is just a little bit more bite to it, right? And I think that's what I'm more in tune with. I like drinking just a simple scotch on the rocks. Let's go, right? Whereas maybe I feel like being a little fruity and enjoying myself a little Mai Tai or a little Bahama Mama, and then I can watch this one that has less wrestling, but it's a little bit more for everybody. You know, it's a little more for everybody. A lot more story driven, not what we like. At least on this show, we're more move driven. Wrestling dictates stories, not stories dictate wrestling. And was there closure on some of the long-standing, long-running, beyond long-running storylines that they've had? Like Liv and Rhea should have been wrapped up like a month and a half ago. The Bloodline, I appreciate what they did with it. They started to run long, but they got it done now. So I'm hoping it's done now, so then we can move on to the next part of the Bloodline, which I think would be great. But it's just a matter of I want more wrestling. In a 3-hour show, there should not be 4 matches, and the longest match was 21 minutes. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, plain and simple.
Yeah.
That doesn't work for me, brother. Thanks, Big Rob.
It's right.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for leaving a little meat on the bone. And hopefully you got my reference on alcohol.
And Rob definitely hit the biggest nail on the head, too. I am so grateful that Hulk Hogan was booed like a son of a bitch. I think it's pathetic that his beer is the official beer of Monday Night Raw. Whatever, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy hard. That's all I'm gonna say.
So
okay?
I think the Hogan thing is a symptom of the bigger problem. I don't even want to say problem because clearly WWE is the most watched wrestling company in the world. It will continue to be as long as it exists. It'll probably continue to be as long as the world exists. It's Disney now. Like, it's just evergreen. It's going to keep going.
Yeah.
The problem is, it's, at least for my taste, it is too much of, hey, here's a thing you used to like. Look, it's here again. We had Hogan come out, which no one likes Hogan anymore for understandable reasons.
Right.
We had the return of Cena, which like the Cena comeback tour year run. That's cool. I like
the Cena final tour they're doing, right? His final
like
run.
I get that. You also had The Rock come out and spend the first 30 minutes of show talking.
Way too much.
I get that Triple H is the man in charge. Of course, he's gonna come intro the show, but it's not just that you had a 3-hour show with 4 wrestling matches.
Oh, don't forget the Undertaker at the end.
You had the Undertaker, which I laughed so hard when he first just drove out past Rhea Ripley and didn't acknowledge. I thought he was just going to do a lap and then leave. I'm glad they got the arm up. It was cool. But at a certain point, you have spent more time just having the legends of the past just out there than you did having your current talent wrestle on your pro wrestling show. I'm not saying it's got to be full wrestling, but like, it's got to tip in that favor a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Clint, too. I think it spilled over to NXT the next night as well, too, unfortunately, because I think, do you guys, and maybe, I've had this thought, you kind of hinted at it here, Austin. I've had this thought for a while, too. Now, we are all of the age, 2 of us a little bit more than the third, but we're all of the age to be the Monday Night Wars, was prime. Jamie and I were in high school and college, when it was like hitting its peak, right? Like end of high school, beginning of college. We were the audience, the target, right? Austin was a little bit younger, but he was not far behind us, right? So, yes, on one point, yes, we grew up with it. That was the best era of wrestling. I will fight anybody for it. I know the golden age. I know the old. I'm a giant old school Ric Flair fan. Mid-South wrestling. But the Attitude Era was the era. WCW, NWO, Monday Night Wars, all that stuff, right? But you're talking about putting a bunch of 60-year-old men continuously down our throats. Should they just effing stop and pull the plug like they pulled the plug on Ric Flair? Just like no more. We're moving forward with what we have currently. Because I feel like they try to use that as a crutch too often.
Yeah, I think that's the problem is that, you just mentioned different eras. You had the golden era that kind of rolled into the new generation, that rolled into the attitude era, that rolled into ruthless aggression. And by the time you get around like 2010 or so, it's more or less been the same thing for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
You've had different guys pop up on top and stuff, but at a certain point, you stopped having really, once you got past Cena's peak, you stopped having stars transcend the company, and it's just WWE is the brand, which as a business move, I understand. Like I said, it's kind of like Disney. You go back thinking when you're a little kid and the Disney movies you loved, especially if you're closer to our age, like those animated classics coming out, there's a lot of nostalgia there. But nothing Disney has done has appealed to me. I mean, I know they bought Marvel. That's a little bit different, separate brand. But like, I was actually thinking about this the other day. Is the product just not as good now? Or are we just old and it's just not for us anymore?
The answer is possible. Yes. The answer is yes. Like, you're absolutely right on both fronts. I'm going to take that stance. Yes, we are older. Yes, we have lived through some great freaking wrestling, and we have particular tastes in our wrestling. We are 100% kind of like get off my lawn-ish about this. You know what I'm saying, man?
Right.
But it's not to say I don't respect what they're doing. Like, I do enjoy some of the stuff that they're doing. Like, their women's division NXT is the most superior women's division in all of wrestling. Fight me on that. By the way, NXT Hard to Kill or whatever the hell it was called that happened yesterday. Holy shit, gentlemen. That's a show. So they totally redeemed themselves with that thing, like there was
a little
whole bunch of matches that's comparable. NXT and AEW are very comparable in the way that they're done, but that's Shawn Michaels' baby, which now that's supposed to become Scott D'Amore's, baby, which I think is a really cool thing. So we might see a changing of the guard back to what we enjoy in the main mothership, or they're going to go to this new model, so
right.
It's one of those things. Like, we just don't know. I think time will tell over the next couple weeks, like if they're just going to do 4 or 5 matches for 3 hours, because gag me with a spoon I'm out. But if they start transitioning, that's a Clueless reference for all y'all.
I think that, and personally, I think there's a happy medium there, because Damian talks about this too. He'd rather have less matches, and I think I think you can find that happy medium, because you have 3 fucking hours, and therein lies the biggest fault that I have on this. Right, for 3 hours, you should be able to please the people that want to see a bunch of wrestling and longer matches, and the people that don't want to see all that. Right, because it's 3 hours. At some point in time, everybody's got to get up and at least go to the bathroom. I hope to God you guys aren't holding it for 3 hours. Your bladders are screaming, But I'm just saying, I think that if you're going to keep it at that 3 hour mark plus commercials, right, you can do a little bit of both. But I don't know. See, I'm with you. Four matches for 3 hours is not enough, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying it had to be a pay-per-view. But, like, you couldn't have given me, like, 6 to 8 minutes of Braun Breaker beating the crap out of somebody. I would have been down for that. Like,
well, they have a big enough roster. That's the argument that I make. That's the thing that we make. That's one of the big complaints we have with Dynamite a lot of times, is that you don't get to see enough, right? Like, they have a good sized roster on, for Raw, and, put another women's match out there. Hello. That's always my answer, But yeah, you've got plenty of talent. Put some out there. Bring some up from NXT if you need to, because I'm with you, Jamie. NXT by far is the one that I love the most. And I'm really interested to see what D'Amore does. 100%. I'm fully in his boat. 100%. That's no surprise.
I think that's the most frustrating thing for me with, like, current WWE product is I genuinely enjoy probably 95% of the roster. There's a lot of really cool wrestlers, a lot of really talented wrestlers. As Damian said, your world champion Gunther was another. Gunther's rad.
Why is he not? Why? Put him on there.
They've got a stacked roster, and you don't have to have a bunch of 20 to 30 minute matches. I know not everyone likes that, but
no. It's a different type of wrestling than AEW, and I know that. That's
Yeah.
fine. But give me
Give me
more
a
of
few
it.
more
Give me some more.
6 to 10 minute TV matches. Let me see some more of these wrestlers wrestle.
Or have like the old school squash. Have a Braun Breaker squash. When you're building up Braun Breaker and have him do those squash matches, it's old school. I love that. That's good. That's fine.
Like when you're averaging 1 1/3 match per hour, you kind of got a problem. Like it should be anywhere between 2 to 2.5 an hour. That still gives you plenty of time for any type of story building that they want to do, because God knows that they got production on lock. Like I will give WWE all its flowers. Its production is magnifique. But like I just want a little bit more, man. Just I'm not saying necessarily double what you did, but like I would like to see 6 to 7 matches in 3 hours and one halfway decent long one and maybe a squash match in there, instead of having 40 minutes of promos before the first fucking match.
I think 6 minutes, 6 matches is perfect for the format that WWE does, right? Considering you're going to have one of them is going to be a little bit longer, closer to 20. You'll have maybe one of them that's a real squash, right? Which is fine, right? 6 matches, I feel, is that happy medium there.
See, I got to point out our man Damien in chat, because clearly we are at odds on what we enjoy in pro wrestling. But he did just say he was expecting Penta to come out and beat out Hogan, and that's something we can all agree.
Oh my God, that would be the funniest shit ever, especially because it's Hulk Hogan.
Ah, you're now my new favorite person, Damien,
God,
because yes, that would be
what pro wrestling does. It brings
Hogan jumped by an angry Mexican. That would be that
would be the best thing ever. Like he's got no fear. He's got no fear, bro. But like, come on now. All right. Well, speaking of,
I believe you, Clint. Definitely. I know Clint's been chiming in too. Clint is definitely our buddy who's big WWE
Clint
fan.
is definitely a WWE guy, because like we talk and he's like, "Who's Penta?" I'm like, "Penta's one of the best Mexican wrestlers in the entire world."
You will love Penta. I'm just telling you, Clint. You will love Penta, and if you don't love Penta, I'm gonna come to your house. We're gonna have a chat, because
Penta's just cool, man.
Penta's the man.
Like Penta's just rad.
Hey, he's got it, guys. He's got it.
From Lucha Underground, from Triple L, but Triple L, Lucha Underground to TNA, Impact / TNA, AEW, Penta doesn't miss wherever he's at. Penta is
that
the
motherfucker
man.
don't miss.
He is the man.
Now you make me think of Snoop Dogg when you said that you don't miss.
I hate to say it. I'll be honest. That graphic they have for him, the little logo they have that is his mask, is fucking fire. It's really
I know they
really
tease it for
good.
next week,
Really
but if
good.
they would have given us Penta beating Chad Gable in like 8 minutes last night, I think that would turn the whole show around for me.
I'm really interested to see.
Went out there and smoked him. That'd been amazing.
Well, it was in LA, so I don't know where next week's show is. Is next week's show in California still?
He really is.
Do you know?
Damien, he's the Mexican Sting.
Yes. Oh, it is in California. Okay. It says it's California. They're gonna know Penta is. If in LA, Penta's a god, right? Everybody knows him there. He's a WrestleWare store.
Republic of Lucha, bro.
Yeah, fantastic. I've heard a lot of stuff from him. But I'm interested to see. I think it's smart for them to do him in California, because if I would have been interested to see them debut him everywhere else, Dubuque, Iowa, or wherever the fuck else. Right?
That just reminded me of when Ospreay first showed up in like Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah.
His first match in AEW was in Kansas City, Missouri. We're there.
Yep.
Your wife was back.
That was the. Was that the run in for the first for Bandor, or the second?
First.
Okay.
Yep. And then that's when we had Great O'Con and all them come out. And
Jeff Cobb, yeah, because we saw Great O'Con and Jeff Cobb.
He tried to do a choke slam and totally whipped on the dude. Great O'Con did not look good.
Yeah, but that was on Rampage.
But that's okay. Jeff Cobb always looks great.
Jeff Cobb's right. All right.
Hey, Great O'Con did not look good at Wrestle Dynasty either, but man, Jeff Cobb is awesome.
Jeff Cobb's fantastic, man. All right, let's move along here. So like I said, we're going to talk more about WWE. Like I said, we are not trying to be tribalists. We want wrestling to be good, and hopefully we can get some more in here. I'm telling you, if you haven't done any yet, Austin, try and check in more on NXT this year. I'm telling you, man, it is
yeah.
worth your viewership. It is.
I mean, it's got Stephanie Vacour and it's got the new women's champion Julia,
which we saw that coming, but and of course, yeah. Oh, so good.
So, gentlemen, it is a new year. It is a new era in WWE, but AEW right now, and I'm gonna be hypercritical because that's what I do. It feels like they haven't evolved that much recently, especially with a lot of the negative flack. Like, honestly, what Damien's been saying is what a lot of the IWC tribalists are always attacking. Not to call you out, dude. I'm just saying, like, you're kind of speaking what they're saying. You know, it's more of they're always after them. And I want to know what your thoughts are. What can Tony Khan do for the year of 2025 to... It's already profitable, but what's it going to take it to the next level in 2025? What can he do?
So, I mean, I
told you I had a good question for you.
I have a simple answer. I have a more kind of broad answer. Okay. The simple answer is this: not write everything yourself. No more one-man show booking this stuff, right? He's loosened the reins. He's taking more input to do this. He needs to do a lot more down. No. Keep the Coke. Coke's fine, right? We love Coke. We love Coke.
You're here earlier. I said I am not opposed to hookers and blow.
Like Coke. I mean, we got the insight of it live that he's a big Time Cop fan out of nowhere. So keep the Coke.
Yeah,
keep the Coke. That's fine. No, this is booking needs to be. There's a happy medium between what Tony Khan's doing and what WWE's doing with like 85 employed writers, right? Somewhere in the middle of that is that perfect little stretch there, right? Small group of people, group making decisions, working hand in hand with the talent, right? You know, not just this last second, I want to do this, we're going to go this way, right? We've all seen that fail miserably on another level, right? And I'm not trying to compare Tony Khan to him, but some of the tendencies do align there, booking wise. So that's the easy answer. Honestly, I feel like AEW needs to kind of change up the way that they have their shows. They've already committed, and they say they want to get into more smaller, intimate settings, right, to give a better atmosphere. And I feel like they need a bigger overhaul than that, right? Like even something like changing, like when WWE changes it up and they have that different sort of entrance way there, when they have like the bigger audiences, right? They have the smaller entrance way and with the more on the ground level, right? It feels different than the Raws and SmackDowns that have the giant Megatron and stage and all that bullshit, right? Mm-hmm. Something of that nature, right? You know, I feel like, you know, moving production into making... If you're going to go to smaller venues and we're going to try and tell some better stories, you know, I feel like we just need more of an overhaul because it looks the same with a smaller crowd because they're trying to use a production that was used for bigger 10, 12, 13,000 people when they only have 4 or 5 that they're selling tickets to. And that, to me, is the nerd part. That's what I like to see different because, I don't know, I just don't feel like the excitement around a lot of these shows as you did even a year or 2 years ago.
So, I don't think the booking problems are for a lack of trying. I think it might be a lack of organization throughout the show. And like for me, WE is too far in the opposite direction. We see the exact same thing for months and months and months on end. Next week, we're going to get Damian Priest and Finn Balor, and they've been feuding with each other since who knows when. Liv Morgan, Ripley, get up over. The Bloodline have been going on forever. But I think AEW is too far in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I don't think enough stuff, and the best stuff that has happened with AEW is when they've kept something going long enough, but not gone too long. Hanger and Swerve, phenomenal job in that initial build run of the story, bringing it back later,
Boom.
bringing it back a little bit later, but they still go off and do different things in between.
Yeah.
Tony Storm, Mariah May was a great 8-ish months of building a story. But I think a lot of stuff that happens in AEW, it either just changes too quick or they don't have a thought out plan of really where it's going. And we're going to jump right into this, even though we haven't got to the spots in Dynamite yet. But I said earlier, we're going to do a heat check on the Death Rider storyline, because when this first kicked off, I know me certainly, but I feel like all of us were pretty excited about it. This. Seems like something big. Then you get into the C2. You've got Ospreay wrestling Ricochet. You got Ospreay and Fletcher. Your main storyline for your main title seems like the third or fourth most important thing on the show. And I think if you want to appeal to a little bit broader audience, not that I don't think AEW needs to necessarily go after the WWE audience, but if you want people tuning in weekly, you kind of want those hooks that are like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next. The entire Attitude Era. What's Stone Cold going to do next? And even when it got really good with the MJF as champ last year, I guess it was over a year ago, because we're in 2025, late 2023, before that got derailed by Adam Cole getting hurt and all that, we talked about how the show started to feel like the old Attitude Era, where a lot of stuff was bleeding into each other, but you kind of had a central thread where everyone was kind of after MJF in one way or the other. And I'm not even a huge MJF guy, but it made the show more interesting because there's one big thread to follow. I think the Death Riders angle in its inception had the potential to become that, but now it's just kind of this group of heels just beat up guys every week. At the same time, tonight, you kicked off with 20 minutes of absolute flames from Buddy Matthews and Will Ospreay. You just got Kenny Omega back. I think you need to consolidate the top of the card, make the title a more important part of the main event scene, and then kind of filter everything down from there, just to have a thread and direction for everything that's going on.
I agree. My whole thing, because I posed that question, and I am in the same camp with you on the Death Riders, but I will save it for just a hot sec. There are a couple things that AEW can do, I think, because right now I feel like they're like, man, I got this great idea, and it is a great idea, but they don't know how to finish the idea. It's literally like, I hate to say it, it's like all hopped up on coke. Hey, let's do this, guys. This is a great idea, man.
We told you we weren't done with the coke talk, guys.
All right, but you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody knows that guy.
I'll put a pin in your question, Clint. I'm gonna get back to that in a few minutes.
But it's that overarching, like, he needs to step back and do what he's good at. And honestly, Tony's pretty good at production. He is. Like, at the very beginning, he was very involved in it, and the production was actually pretty good. Now he's gotten way too involved with the stories, and I think there's an easy, simple solution. Very, very easy. You have two of arguably two of the best minds that the wrestling business has ever had in it on your roster. You have who finds ways to get under my skin and make me love him and make me hate him again and make me love him again, and Chris Jericho. And you have Tennessee's own, who happened to be on the show, JEFFJARRETT, Jeff Jarrett. You have two of the best minds. Let them run creative. Let them come up with fully fleshed out storylines, because, I mean, Damian, thank you for helping me out here. He said one of the best stories was Chris Jericho and was it Kenny Omega, right? Is what he said.
Cody.
Yeah, Chris and Cody. That was all Chris Jericho, fully fleshed out. give him the reins. Give those two guys the reins to come up with your stories, because those two guys can do it. Let them book it out, because to your point on the Death Riders, when's the last time we saw the damn championship belt? I don't even remember.
We haven't, because it's been destroyed. Remnants of it are in that. I'm sticking with that. But yes, we all know about Jericho. Jericho's mind is there in the wrestling. And Jarrett, to answer your question in sort of a roundabout way, Clint, Jarrett has done this before. He made hint of it before, right? The original TNA, that was him. That was his baby. He was there, 6-sided rings, AJ Styles, Team Canada, right? Bobby Roode, all that. Oh, Scott D'Amore, hello, hey Scott. I love so happy for Scott. I'm so happy for Scott. But all them, the original knockouts, then the reinvention of the knockouts, because that was all pre-Hogan. Like when the knockouts blew up, that was still pre-Hogan, right? Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, all that stuff, right? That was. Oh my God, that was the best tournament ever. Like came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden it was like women's wrestling kicked ass, right? And then a year later, give Divas a chance. Like, hey, it's already happening. But the brains are there. And besides that, you've got others in the back too, right? Because you have the people around there. You've got Dustin Rhodes, okay? And you've got Dean Malenko, even though, he was getting up there a little bit, but still, right? So you've got people. You got Serena Deeb, who used to be, was a trainer and all that back in NXT days and things. So you've got people. Massive Rain was brought in for this purpose, right, to kind of help do this sort of stuff for the women's side. So you have these people around there, and maybe it takes an intervention. Maybe it takes taking the Coke away. I don't know, but you got to be like, hey, you can't do all this, because it's better when the whole team is involved with this here.
So,
Will Washington, very good call. Will Washington, Rob, thank you.
This is not a unheard of and groundbreaking idea. It gets brought up on the internet a lot.
Start 2025 with it.
But I would like to see a brand split. Now, I want to be very specific about what I want to see with that, because I don't necessarily want to see a hard brand split like WWE. And this is not just go back and shitting on WWE, because again, I want it to be good. I watch the PLEs when they pop up. Like you're gonna give me a couple hours of wrestling that's mostly wrestling, I'll usually tune in, or you give me a cool match to see, I'm here. I don't want a hard brand split like they do with Raw and SmackDown, where they the rivalry and it's like they're exclusive to this brand. I would like to see, hey, on Dynamite, you're going to see the AEW World Championship. You're going to see the AEW, or you're going to see the TBS title, because that's on TBS. And you're going to get the Continental Championship and the tags. And then on Collision, you're going to get the TNT Championship, the International, the Trios, and the AEW Women's. And you don't have to be like, these wrestlers are explicitly only put to these shows. It's, this group of wrestlers are trying to get contention for this title, so you're going to see them on this show for a good long while. And maybe they run a program, they fall short, they don't win that AEW World Championship. And then a couple weeks later, now they're on Collision. All right, we're going after the TNT Championship. Like, just to consolidate what you're going to see on any given night. And it makes it a little bit less all over the place. You don't book yourself into a corner by being like, oh, well, we can't move this guy to this show. Just give them runs on a certain show and funnel everything into one place. So it's easier to follow stories that are going on.
I decided to make a quick little poll for every one of our listeners out there that happens to be on here. Just what's your wrestling flavor? I just want to kind of gauge our audience on what you're into. So, more wrestling, less story, less wrestling, more story, equal wrestling and story. Don't care as long as it's wrestling. Who cares? It's wrestling, baby. So if you would mind answering that'd be awesome. Give us a good idea, because this is kind of going into that. And I think, gentlemen, if we are ready, let's kind of get into wrestling itself and actually talk about Dynamite tonight. Finally,
yeah. Let's blow through Dynamite. Let's do it.
Well, it started with wrestling for sure.
Oh, it definitely started with wrestling.
So I know Damien wasn't a fan of it. He said that it went on too long. It was not even it was like a 13-minute match. It wasn't even that long of a match. It just,
I loved it.
Again, here's the thing. For us, it's our bag. But like I said, I'm a Scotch and on the rocks kind of guy, and this is Scotch on the rocks of wrestling. If you ask me, it had technical wrestling, high flying ability, and what Ospreay did afterwards, putting over Buddy. And he called him Murphy in the beginning, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And he corrected himself, called him Matthews. But he also said he didn't need a leader, which there are reports coming out, gentlemen. I don't know if you saw this.
Yeah, that
Malachi's finishing up with AEW here.
Going back, which that was the assumption. Everything's going on for a while too, right? You know, as soon as his wife got rehired and got a push, right, the rumors started. And I don't do whatever's best for you, right? You know, I feel like, and I love Malachi, Alistair, whoever, right? Tommy, whatever name he goes by, right? Love him to death, okay? And I want him to fully succeed. I feel like they got some good momentum going a few times in AEW. I feel like he could be a bigger thing though, with as good and talented as he is. But I totally get it, right? I like the idea, and I like seeing, because we saw as well, you know, on Wrestle Dynasty, we saw Brody by himself, right? And so, he was great. But we've also seen him on it by himself, and and we've seen Julia kind of since her return, right? We didn't talk about her official in-ring return, which was a little rusty, but not the worst return I've seen. I'll put it that way. You know, but her character work has been fantastic. We've modded that a lot, right? So if they are going to go that direction, you got to figure something out for Buddy, because is he going to go back to WWE? Probably not, right? And I think there's a spot for him here, and I'd like to see him he is so talented, right? I'd like to see him make a name somehow for himself, okay? Whether that is single or with Brody or something, right? You know, instead of just latching on to Malachi, I want to see him make a name. So that's my soapbox. I'll get off now.
Yeah, and I know Brody has been featured a little bit more, but you could almost say the same thing for Brody. I am very interested in both Buddy Matthews and Brody King without Malachi Black there. And I love Malachi Black. Like, he's super cool. What's not to like? Yeah. He's dope. He's really good in the ring.
Death Metal Devil coming out. I mean, yeah, fucking A, let's go.
I think keeping the three of them together has kind of held all three of them back a bit if you're not going to do bigger things with the group. I do think going over to WWE, if that is what's going to happen, is not a bad move for Malachi Black.
No.
I think with the way they produce pro wrestling, where they add a lot more of the theatrics into it and all that, I think that fits his look and his character. I know he's been dealing with some injuries for the last few years, so wrestling a different style that's not as high spot and move base is probably good. I would love to see Brody King and Buddy Matthews have singles runs in AEW, because they can go with everyone else on the roster. But just on this opening match, going back to what we were talking about a little bit ago, about having your world title be kind of the focus and the focal point of your show, I think that's the common ground for people that want story and don't just want banger matches to open a show. I'm never sad about a banger match to open a show, but imagine Will Ospreay is just your AEW champion, and regularly on Dynamite, he's going out there and having an awesome 15, 20-minute match with anyone on your roster because he's a fighting champion and he's defending that belt. Now we got stakes. Now we're even more bought in.
Well, therein lies the biggest problem. To your point, Jamie, you know, I don't know what they're doing. Like, there's so much things they could be doing with the title picture, but it doesn't even feel like an afterthought, right? I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. Never mind. You just
I mean, they do have they have a bloated roster, and
they do.
You know, that's one of their biggest things. Like, they have 4 hours now, because Rampage is gone. 4 hours to showcase all of their talent on AEW branded TV.
Hmm?
That's not Ring of Honor, but AEW.
Right, because Shockwave, they can't get picked up amazingly now all of a sudden. So
Yeah. So you have 4 hours. And they have like 150 wrestlers. It's like
too many.
not everybody's gonna get
too many
TV
wrestlers.
time. Like they need to scale back on how many people they have and push what they got, and then develop other people to come up. Like what they did with Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia is a mainstay now. He deserves to be there. But do Bronson, like Bear Bronson, whatever, like Bulk Bronson, whatever he's calling himself now, do those guys need to be around, or do they just go to Ring of Honor? You know, like I don't know. I feel like that needs to be a thing, because you do have Buddy Matthews who can absolutely go hanging out. You have Miro hanging out. Now, granted, he's got some family stuff going on, and he's doing all that stuff. So
there's a lot of stuff going on with Miro. We're not
poor Miro. Nothing but love for Miro. But you know what I'm saying?
Love me some Miro, but yeah. But he's still on the roster, technically, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and then look at the gauntlet match. Let's go straight to let's skip over. We'll come back and get the rest. But let's go to the gauntlet match next to add to your point. Okay, read over the entrance of the gauntlet match, if you would, Jamie.
In order of appearance: Jay White, Adam Hangman Page, Wheeler Yuta, Ricochet, Adam Cole Bebe, Daniel Garcia, Powerhouse Hobbs, Roderick Strong, Lance Archer, Cool Kyle O'Reilly, and one Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
So you've got 11 people in here. Wheeler's the wrench in the wheel, right? But, because he's on the Death Riders. But 11 people in this match alone, right? All vying for a title shot next week. And with the exception of Wheeler, I'd say everybody on here, well, maybe Lance Archer too, because he's kind of a henchman. But I would say everybody in this match, he has history with Jon Moxley, right? Except for Wheeler. So 10 out of the 11 believable contenders. Plus, you've got the aforementioned Buddy Matthews. It's too big. It's too many. It's too many people.
Too many.
You still didn't have Kyle Fletcher, Takeshita in this match, who are both contenders, or MJF, who's also a contender,
who we just saw.
We can keep going. Yeah, Bobby Lashley should be in this match.
The top is too fat. The top is too fat.
But if everybody's really going after the title, then it makes sense, right? And there's still Swerve too. We forgot about him. Yeah.
But if we do what our resident wrestler, who has also done TV production, says, split the roster, have one going after one belt, one going after another belt. Both of them are prestigious. Do we solve a problem? Yes.
Yeah. Because the problem is not that you have too many titles. It's that you don't have a clear hierarchy, and you don't have a way to elevate each title to make it seem more important. Yeah, Daniel Garcia, your TNT champion in this Casino Gauntlet match. I don't mind a secondary champion being like, hey, I've already got another title. I should be in consideration for the world title. But then you have a dozen other guys that are also contenders for the world title. It just kind of convolutes everything.
Not wrong.
I have been a large proponent of this match since it came out. Tonight was probably my least favorite Casino Gauntlet match.
I think the women's one next week is going to be a banger, though.
I sure hope so. To me, and the ending was a little bit of a surprise, which is cool.
Yeah, Powerhouse was the winner, which was a surprise for sure.
Which is cool. I dig that. I like getting surprised. I was surprised multiple times tonight, which is fine. I don't know. I just never really got into it. For one, you lead off with something that doesn't need to be involved in a title picture, and that is anything Hangman Page is doing, honestly. But the Hangman Page Jay White storyline with and then you even threw like that little shade there of a second when Ricochet came out third. He started with Swerve's, theme and it switched over.
Oh, that was great. I have to give him tons of props. That was
which
great.
Again, yeah, claps of Ricochet, but then you saw the look on the face of Hangman to what you guys had said about the history of Hangman and Swerve, right? We don't need it here. It doesn't need to be in this. It can be its own thing because that's a good standing story by itself outside of the title picture.
I do gotta take one of those moments where I infuse too much logic into pro wrestling. Last week, we had a very good triple threat match between Jay White, Hangman, and Swerve for the first spot in the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal. Makes sense. That's some storytelling to set up your match for next week. Jay White wins. Jay White gets to enter first. The second entrance, Hanger, who was in that triple threat and did not win it, but gets to start the match at the exact same time as Jay White.
It's a new year. I'll forgive you because that's not a resolution, though. We need to take that logic of yours. We need to leave it at the door. Leave that at the door. Don't worry about that.
But yeah, like it was.
You're not wrong.
Hobbs winning was cool. It's a good way to build up a new guy at the top of your card. But putting someone you didn't expect over at a match like this misses the mark a little bit when the title itself doesn't seem important. Like it didn't seem as big when Hobbs won. And I think it would have if the title would have been a bigger deal than it has been recently.
And Damien asked about ROH as well, too. I think that was the idea, Damien. That's what we all assumed it was. But unfortunately, just because, I don't know, there's way too much bleed over between ROH and AEW. I would love to see it be a little harder of a line. Now, there are certain people who are definitely like in ROH. Like Athena's one of them, right? She's the ROH champion. She has been very firmly within ROH, which is fine, right? But then you got a bunch of others that are just, Chris Jericho's problem number one, right?
Yeah, he's the ROH champion.
The ROH champion is doing promos on Dynamite, so you're not. You're not wrong, but yeah, that's just where we live.
If ROH exists for no other reason than to have a place to stash Sammy Guevara so I don't have to see him on TV, it works for me then.
That works for me, brother.
All right. We're going next, Jamie.
Well, let's see.
Want to go back and talk about...
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and talk about Bobby Lashley just beat the shit out of Mark Briscoe. That happened. But before that... You had the Hurt Syndicate, my fault, stating claim to being the next AEW Tag Team Champions. And honestly, this is another one of those, hey, Private Party won, but what have they really done since they've had it? They are definitely transitional.
And it's a shame because I felt like they deserved it. I want to see where they go. I feel like their promos backtracked hardcore after they won it. And I can't agree with you. Although we did get a Nikki XS sighting. So shout out to Nikki.
Yeah.
Nixie.
Sure did.
Nixie. Yeah.
Yeah, I know when Private Party won, we had the faintest bit of optimism like, hey, maybe we're getting a little bit of revival of the tag team division. The belts are off the Bucks. I think they've defended them like once or twice on TV since then, or maybe like once on TV and once at the pay-per-view. That's another thing that I think would make the show. But I think that's a bleed over from just having too much talent on your roster. We don't really get tag wrestling on AEW anymore, and for a long time we were getting phenomenal tag team wrestling on AEW.
Yeah. We were spoiled by riches there. We had Young Bucks, Lucha Brothers, right? We had Private Party was still doing. We had just a smattering of ridiculously good tag teams. FTR, yeah. I'm not saying that.
No. Those were shots of just water. There's nothing in those, and there's no boxes and boxes of lube. Sorry, I had to. But I like it.
Speaking of New Year's resolutions, I would appreciate if both companies' New Year's resolution was just to have more tag team wrestling on their shows.
Preach, brother. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about right after Powerhouse won. He cuts a promo saying that he's going to beat Jon Moxley to Jon Moxley's wife, which I thought was a nice touch.
Go make Jon Moxley his bitch.
His bitch.
Which
like, Okada?
I would have loved to see Okada come out and just go copyright, and then just walk back in.
Yeah. So after that, here comes Double J, Jeff Jarrett. He's cutting a promo about, hey, I didn't win, but 2025, I'm gonna give everything I got. And then here comes Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And gentlemen, I sent a message to you guys. MJF was kind of cooking tonight. It felt like old MJF. I was really enjoying his promo and him backhandedly putting over Jeff Jarrett, which I thought were very well done.
Imagine that, Jeff. We take MJF away from the storyline that's gotten stagnant as all get up, and he turns back into good old MJF again. Shocking.
Amazing how that works out, guys.
Amazing.
I'm here for an MJF and Double J program.
Yeah,
I think
why
that's
not?
something interesting to do with MJF. This was better than what we've seen with MJF through the Adam Cole feud over the last couple months. As I said earlier, I'm not a huge MJF guy. I don't think MJF has evolved in like the 5 years he's been with the company. He's just still kind of the same dude.
He really
and is. I think part of that is just the booking. MJF just kind of always wins. He drops a match here and there. But for a guy that's predominantly been a bad guy, he doesn't see enough adversity to like develop the character any. But I mean, he's solid on the mic, and I think Double J is the perfect guy to put him in there with for us to see something a little different from MJF, at the very least in the ring.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Like I said, compelling ways to occupy people who should be in the singular main storyline. I'm all for.
I think that's what we need too. It's just more stories. Now, granted, this one is about both of them eventually wanting the title.
Well,
but more stories that are a sidetrack and not just, hey, I'm next in line, I'm getting this title shot.
Well, but Jamie, Austin's point is the point that it should be. You're in wrestling. You're in a wrestling company. You should be there to be the champion, right?
You would think.
Like you play a.
I play to win.
You play a professional sport. You play a professional sport to make money, but also you want to be a champion.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it should be. So, yeah, you got to get your division, and then you got to get your whatever first before you get, But your end goal should be the same. The same thing with wrestlers. So but you got to occupy them with other stuff along that path.
While we're on that thread, can we roll right into the Rated R Superstar Cope coming out?
Well, okay,
and calling out Mox?
First and foremost, just pick a fucking name and stay with it. God damn it. Just stop.
Cope is terrible. I'm
bad.
Sorry.
I don't think anyone actually likes that.
No.
Cope.
I'm
Cope.
No reason to go with Cope. Anyway, sorry.
But the reason why I wanted to jump right into that is it's that same thread. You have Double J and Jeff, or you have Double J and MJF coming out there, and they're both gunning for that title eventually, and they're going to run each other eventually along the way. Cope comes out to call out Mox, who is the AEW champion. And I don't think he ever once mentioned wanting to actually win the title. He just wants to beat up Moxley. Which just goes back to make your title the most important thing in the company. And the most important thing on your show.
Which is the pin I wanted to pull out. That we don't need that belt on Mox anymore. Let's get the fuck rid of it.
Especially since the Death Riders are rudderless right now.
Yeah. Cope versus, I even said it too, but Copeland versus Moxley in like a blood feud. Fantastic. Let's go. Who gives a fuck, right? We're two old WWE guys going to beat the living fuck out of each other, and we got our buds to help out. Fantastic. Eventually, we'll get Beth Phoenix in there because we need a counter balance on the women's side, and Jay is going to be a happy camper.
Shafir.
Just get the belt out of there. Stop.
Yeah, this. I think that fixes AEW, and I don't even say fixing like it's bad. I've said it many times. I think their floor is a perfectly enjoyable 2 hours of pro wrestling. But I think it makes it much better if the world title is not with Mox and the Death Riders right now. And they are just going after the young guys, trying to whip them into shape and occasionally run into an older guy that's like, hey, don't do that. But with the title in a briefcase and never even shown on TV, it just means nothing.
Well, I mean, the way they're presenting it, I mean, it could mean a lot, Jamie, if they came to it. Like, the way they started with it was great, but then they just kind of like, whatever. It's still, it's the title,
Rudderless, man. That's all it is. It's just rudderless. But you know what isn't rudderless? The women's championship. Mariah May has done a really good job of making that thing very prestigious. But not only did that happen, we got blessed, truly blessed with the presence of one Harley Cameron, who I think we all can agree on this show is a show favorite, and we wish her nothing but success. And she challenged Mariah May on Collision to just a fight, just hot girl graps, which I thought was absolutely great. And
hot
she'll
girl
feel
graps.
the wrath. Feel the wrath.
Feel the what? Feel the wrath. And then the wheeling in again, amazing to me. 18 months ago, you would have asked us. We would have said you were drunk or piped up on Tony Khan's coke. That we would be singing the praises this much about Harley Cameron. But my God,
you're just a natural entertainer, man. And like sometimes you just let a natural entertainer go out there and entertain, and you get magic every time.
Oh, Rob's in on the Harley train.
Dude, there you go, Big Rob.
She gets pro wrestling. You don't have to be great at wrestling. You don't even have to be really good. You just have to know what sells. And her looks sell, and just being an absolute character sells.
Like the Harley
and
Graham
that's what
thing.
pro wrestling needs. And I think that's the problem when the top of your card is so flooded with just super talented pro wrestlers that could all be world champions. Yes, you need some of that, but you also need some bushwhackers and some hacksaw Jim Duggins out there.
Yeah.
Like, you need characters that are fun for a solid 6 to 8 minutes every other week or so. Just you saw it, and it wasn't Ospreay versus Buddy Matthews, but you were entertained for that time. It was a nice little addition to the show. You need that variety.
It came at the right time too, because after those two things, I'm like, oof. And then here comes Harley Cameron. It's like, oh, thank you.
Just wheels in. Hot girl graps.
And
hot girl graps.
That legitimately got me hyped to watch Collision this week.
See?
Yeah. Seriously, I'm going to watch it just for that. We also had a women's match, gentlemen.
Which was the main event?
It was the main event.
I mean, it wasn't the show ender, but it was a main event match. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, you had Stat, Willow, and one Tony Storm.
Very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you.
Did you watch the video where she met Luther and everybody in the back? Oh, dude.
Yeah,
so great.
Luther's face was... I love Luther. Luther doesn't get enough credit, period.
I feel like the switch is going to happen here shortly. Because, Stat won by pinning Tony, which I thought was a nice touch. This match was actually really enjoyable, lots of fun. I mean, you had 3 amazing women wrestlers who are honestly top of the game. I mean, Stat, we've pontificated about how great she is. And Willow doesn't get enough credit, who should be the top woman in the company. I don't care. Top face, at least. And then you have Toni Storm, who is just Toni Storm right now.
I was surprised by the degree to which Toni Storm outshined Willow Nightingale. Like, the crowd was very much more behind Toni than Willow, and I thought it'd be equal or close to it.
Okay.
Which, I mean, Toni Storm has been doing the Lord's work for the last year.
I think it just speaks
So I
more
don't
to
blame
Toni
him,
Storm than I don't find that as a slide on Willow.
No, I don't think it's a slide against Willow. I was just genuinely surprised by, like, that's the star power of Toni Storm, which, like, I understand. She's one of the top women in the business, if not the top woman in the business right now. But Willow has just been getting monstrous pops every time she comes out and in everything. And they were very clearly behind Toni way more than they were behind Willow.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, bold prediction time, boys. Toni Storm comes out and does an interview afterwards backstage with Renee and plays this whole, like, I just got to do more work, and I thought I was ready for the big time, and I'm not. She's not going to be in it. She's just, what does it say? She's just not ready, so she's not going to be in it next week. I have a feeling I know who is going to be in it. Timeless Toni Storm.
I thought you were going to say Harley Graham.
No.
Oh, dude, Harley Graham, yes.
Harley Graham might be in it too, but no, I think we're gonna get a full, like, Faces of Foley, phase out of Toni Storm now.
Like, she doesn't know which side of her.
Yeah, like she comes out as time as Toni Storm, wins the thing, and then maybe the next week they interview her about it, and she goes, "I wasn't in the match. What do you mean?" Right?
I think so. This is what I think. If we're going to Fantasy Booking Island, I think she wins. I think she wins, but she gets knocked out. Like, they both knock each other out, and she just happens to fall on the person.
Okay.
Gets knocked out. Wakes up as timeless Toni Storm. Then you get timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May for the belt in Australia.
I mean, it's in Australia. We know it's going to be Toni Storm one way or another, Austin. How are you booking this? You're on the island with us, Austin. How are you booking it?
I'm not entirely sure. I think there's a bunch of ways, and I think ultimately, no matter what you do with Toni Storm, I have no reason to believe after the last year of what I've seen from her that it won't be great no matter what she does out there.
Well, true.
But personally, I don't think you bring the timeless character back.
Okay.
I think you get to the point where she acknowledges it and kind of we wrap up her just ignoring that she was ever timeless Toni Storm. But I think by the time you get to Grand Slam and you get to, because I am now bought in. I know I was not necessarily in on this. I'm now bought in on her definitely winning that belt back from Mariah in Australia. And they've got us there with this new character going back to rookie Toni Storm and all that.
Well,
but I don't think you go all the way back in the other direction and bring back Timeless. I think Timeless was great while it was there, but I want to see evolution moving forward instead of going necessarily back to what she was and us just getting a second timeless Toni Storm title reign.
Okay, well, what if she comes out next week as Outcast Toni Storm? I'm telling you, Faces of Foley, Toni Storm version. It's happening.
Could be. I think the most likely thing is that rookie Toni Storm that we saw tonight still ends up in the gauntlet match.
Somehow, even though she said she's not going to be, you think it's just she's going to?
I think her saying
that
she's just not
feels
ready
like the easy way in. Yes.
Is this brilliant thing they've done recently where you took the women's champ for the better part of the last year and still made her an underdog, and the crowd got behind it because that's the magic of pro wrestling. Like, we will take anything you give us as long as it's good. I think she ends up in it. I think she wins with a roll-up or something, and then we get the build of her getting to Grand Slam. And then by the time she takes that belt off Mariah at Grand Slam, we get peak Toni Storm just as Toni Storm back, and we get a title run of Toni Storm proper, for a better lack of a better term.
Or we get Tony Storm, Jamie wins that belt back and immediately drops the shtick and just says, "Fuck you! I knew what I was doing the whole time, bitch."
Which would be hilarious.
That'd be great.
I've been acting the whole time. Oh yeah, that would be
The greatest role yet.
greatest role yet. Or she loses her shit again. Like maybe she loses her shit again and becomes somebody completely different.
Sting Tony Storm.
I still want Sting Tony Storm. I want her hanging out in the rafters and all that.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Well, gentlemen, it's come to that time where we talk about the last thing that happened, and that was the return of the wrestling god with his new intro music, which I'm not a huge fan of the music, but I'm a huge fan of his Titantron. Titantron's sick as hell.
I mean, nothing's better than Best Bout Machine music. I'm sorry.
I wish he would use this music for pay-per-views.
Only.
Like, make this his big match music.
I'll give you that.
Kind of like the King of Kings for Triple H.
I'll give you that.
It worked in the Tokyo Dome. It worked for Wrestle Dynasty. It was a little awkward on a random Wednesday night.
Yeah, good point. I like it, though. So he comes back. He talks about everything he went through, how he could have died, lost 2 feet of his intestine, and now he didn't know. He thought about giving up, and then now he can't give up on us people. Like total face, baby face promo. And then here comes our favorite heel, the man who gets Iron Sheik heat, which, by the way, Iron Sheik must have been laughing in his grave on Monday night. I saw a little tweet from the Iron Sheik Twitter account that says, "Fuck Hogan now, then, now, always." You know, it's like, or forever or whatever, like their slogan. I thought it was amazing. But anyway,
fantastic.
Here comes Don Callis. Don Callis is like, "You've been gone for," and then just gets the shit kicked out of him by Kenny Omega.
I love
Then Kenny gets jumped. And then when Kenny gets jumped, he gets saved by
Will Ospreay?
What?
I love it.
What? Love it.
Ospreay has a definite reason for coming out there. He's the counter Kyle Fletcher, right? The counter Don Ospreay. But there's and he even had the moment there where he turned around, had the chair in his hand, and looked at Will, Kenny Omega, because they've had their history. Yeah, the strange bedfellow thing when Kenny Omega handed the belt over at the end of the Continental Classic to Okada. You have it again. You're doing stuff that I feel, again, to your point, Austin, it's not just a title picture, but it's probably the best mix of story you got going on here. And you have a belt involved if you throw Okada in this mix with Ospreay, Omega, Fletcher.
Yeah, it's not for your world title, but it seems way more important. And that's kind of the problem. And
but there's a title in the middle of these guys if you really want to split these hairs.
But that's the thing, like this needs to be your AEW World Championship.
I'm with you. This is the top of your card.
Yes, I do gotta say the one thing I didn't care for about this was the tease with Ospreay that he was gonna hit Kenny with the chair. There is nothing from what we've seen in the last 4 to 5 months of Will Ospreay that I think made you believe there was any chance he was actually gonna hit Kenny with that chair. This is the kind of dumb puppy dog that like would not hit people with the screwdriver even when he didn't like them. Like it was a little inconsistent with the character. I get what they were going for. It wasn't bad, but like I didn't buy into it because like Will Ospreay is the least likely guy on the roster to hit just about anybody with a chair.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I mean, you're gonna tease Ospreay and Omega? Sign me up any day of the week.
I mean, they already teased Ospreay Okada last week when he gave him the Continental Classic. Congratulate him, But
I just hope this sooner rather than later gives us Ospreay and Omega against Takeshita and Fletcher.
It's got to be.
Inject that
all
right in my
something to
vein.
do.
That feels like revolution to me.
It feels like Australia to me.
I feel like Australia
I
do
think,
the tag.
I think Grand Slam.
It's a month away. Okay. Yeah. Yes,
I
please.
mean,
Yes, please give me put in my eye holes. Let's go.
but I mean, I love the idea of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and you have the uneasy bedfellow. Like, it's just a tale as old as time when it comes to wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, I hate you, you hate me, but we hate them, so we're gonna come together.
Stop it. Stop. No.
And we are gonna form a tag team. We're gonna
No,
call ourselves
stop.
the Mega.
Stop. It's 2025, God damn it.
Come on now.
The most uncomfortable handshake ever, too. They always have been there. Yeah,
Have you done the uncomfortable handshake? Have you done the Macho Man handshake in a wrestling ring, Austin?
I've not done it in a wrestling ring.
You done it for
I've done
a
it
promo.
backstage plenty of times. Just
Okay.
'cause it's fun.
Backstage, of course. Yeah, you gotta do it in a ring while we're there, so we can just pop really loud.
Next time me and T2G tag in front of y'all, we'll do that.
All right, if you guys are tagging at Fountain City Pro in March, by the way, those you not
Or
following,
in HCW and Wichita, I'm thinking about going.
those of you who are not following socials of our friends at Fountain City Pro or HCW Heritage Championship Wrestling,
Heartland Championship Wrestling.
Heartland. I was like, I messed that up. Heartland Championship Wrestling. Please follow them. Local wrestling's here, Kansas City, Wichita, the general area. We got Heartland's coming up here in Wichita in February, and
January
January.
25th.
Okay,
here in Wichita.
end of January, and then I know that middle March. I want to say the 17th. I'm not 100% sure,
14th.
but middle 14th. Thank you. Okay, Fountain City Pro's coming back.
I've got a calendar on a whiteboard, like right there.
Why am I doing these promos? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I'm the one wrestling on the shows. I should probably be.
You should probably do these promos.
Building.
What is it? Anyway, but please follow our friends, Fountain City Pro, Heartland Championship Wrestling. Yeah, most definitely.
We need to get Billy on the show once.
Yeah,
so he can talk a little HCW with us.
I'm sure he'd be down.
We do. I know we've had Chase before. We get next time we have Chase again, we can give him shit about finishing last in fantasy football. That'd be fun.
100%. I mean, I have the heel persona to uphold.
Got to make him wear like a toilet bowl cover or something. The toilet seat or
They can wear a Hogan shirt.
Hogan
shirt.
No. We will never stoop that low. Okay.
Then we'll do the Real American Beer. We'll give him a Real American Beer shirt.
Ooh. Okay, so that's a side eye. All right, boys.
American. God, it's such a banger song though.
It was, yeah.
Really.
And therein lies the problem. I mean, the man holds his spot in wrestling lore because of what the good times that we had.
He lives in the annals, and he is an asshole. So there you go.
And there's no better way to end the show, I think. So we had a lot to cover this week here. But we hope you guys enjoyed your break. We enjoyed our break from you. No, I'm kidding. No. But we had a very, very good holidays. Again, like I said, we hope you guys enjoy. Ooh, we had split on the poll. Okay.
I know. I just wanted, we ended it. Yeah, equal parts wrestling and story, AEW. Don't care, it's wrestling. Both tied at 40%. And then somebody said more wrestling, less story. So none of the WWE style of more story, less wrestling. So that's interesting.
That was very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. But anyway, we just love wrestling. Yeah, that's our thing here. So we're going to talk more wrestling. We're going to do it again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Come join us. We appreciate you guys giving us some of your time. If this is your first time here, welcome. Hello. Thank you for hanging around with us for 2 hours. Please hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the thumbs up. Give us a big old like. It does help us out quite a bit. You can follow us on them internets at Total Spotfest, both on Twitter or Blue Sky. Is Blue Sky still a thing? Is that still a thing?
Blue Sky's still around. I'm not posting on, but we're there, guys. I will respond.
We are on both of those at Total Spotfest. You have our individual Twitters there. If you want to book Austin Reddick for your wrestling promotion, hit him up at Reddick Rules. We will see you guys next week. Jamie, take us home, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2025. If you're not down with Total Spotfest, I got 3 words for you.
JJ's daddy's daddy.
I hate you so much. I guys, see you next week.
Peace.
Later.